In today's video, this is going to cover day 1 of section 4.7, and we'll be talking about slope-intercept form. And so when we say slope-intercept form, it looks like this. It's y equals mx plus b. So it's really what we used to call function form, right? Because if you'll notice, the y is all by itself on one side of the equation. But now we've got this m and this b. And so really, the m stands for our slope, and the b is our y-intercept. So if I'm in function form, or what we're now calling slope-intercept form, my m is going to be the coefficient of x, and my b is the y-intercept. So the first thing that we want to be able to do, and what we're going to focus on for today, is being able to look at an equation and pick out the slope. Again, that's our m, and the y-intercept, which is our b. So in part A, this is actually a really nice equation because this is already in slope-intercept form. So now I just need to be able to pick out the slope and the y-intercept. So we said that the slope is the coefficient of x. It's the number in front of x. And so in this case, what we have to remember is there's really a 1 in front of here, even though we don't usually write it. So my slope, my m value, is going to be a -1. And then the constant there is my +3, so my y-intercept is just 3. So that's a nice straightforward example where it's already in slope-intercept form. Now, if you look at b here, you'll quickly notice that obviously that's not in slope-intercept form yet. So the first thing we need to do is get that into slope-intercept form. So we need to get the y all by itself. That's our goal. So we need to use, again, kind of those solving skills to rearrange this equation. So if I want y to be on the left side here, I need to get rid of this 2x. And so to do that, I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So over here, this cancels, and I have my -y. Now over here, you notice I didn't put that 2x under the 4 because I wanted to make sure those didn't get combined. I specifically kind of separated them. So now I'm going to take my x term first. It's a positive 2x. And then I'm going to grab my constant, which is a positive 4. So now I'm almost there, but I have a -y, which I don't want. So I'm going to divide by -1, and again, all of my terms need to be divided. So now that's going to give me a y equals 2 divided by -1 is a -2, and the x comes with. 4 divided by 1 is a -4. So now I'm in slope-intercept form. Again, our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So my slope, or my m value, is the coefficient of x. So in this case, it's a -2. My y-intercept, or my b value, is the constant. And for this equation, that is a -4. So that's my slope and y-intercept for this equation. So the rest of this is going to go very similarly. Our goal is always going to be to get the y by itself. So let's look at another example. In this equation, here's my y. Now it's got a coefficient in front of it, which we'll have to get rid of. But for right now, I want to isolate this term. So what I need to do is move this 5x over. So since this is a negative, I'm going to add 5x to both sides. These are going to cancel, and I need to bring down my 1/4 y. And that's equal to a positive 5x. This is a -2. So now, again, my y is on this side, but I still have this coefficient of 1/4. So to get rid of that, I'm going to multiply by 4. And when I do that, I have to be a little bit careful. I have to multiply both sides by 4, but I need to make sure I multiply everything on the right side by 4, so I'm going to use parentheses there. So 4 times 1/4 is going to give me 1, so y is by itself. And now I need to remember that I need to distribute this 4 to both sides. So I'm going to get 4 times 5 is a 20x minus 8 is my equation. So again, now we can pick out our m and our b values. Our m is slope, so that's 20. Our b, or our y-intercept, is -8. Okay, let's see. We'll pick one more maybe to do from what's left. Oh, maybe 2 more here. Okay, let's look at D. Again, our goal, if we're putting this in slope-intercept form, is to get y by itself. I need to move this 3x. Now, in this case, this is a positive 3x, so to move it over, I'm going to subtract on both sides. So these will cancel. I'm left with a -4y. And now on this side, my 3x is a negative or minus, so I have a -3x and plus 12. So now my last step to get y all by itself is to divide each term by a -4. So now these are going to cancel. I have y equals a negative over a negative is a positive. And now I'm not going to divide this because actually when we start using our slope, a fraction is much more useful than a decimal. So I'm going to leave it as a fraction, but I am going to simplify this. A negative over a negative is a positive. So I have 3/4 times x, and then 12 divided by a -4 is a -3. So my slope, I'm going to squeeze it in here, is 3/4. And my y-intercept, I'm going to abbreviate that, is -3. So that should give you a pretty good idea of how this works. Again, our goal is just to get y by itself. So let's jump ahead here, and I want you to try these next 3 problems. So go ahead and pause the video. And then when you unpause it, you can check with my work. Okay, so here are the solutions to those last 3 problems. Now, one thing I want to point out, for number 1, this was almost in slope-intercept form, but I have to be careful because my constant term was actually first and then my x term. So what I found helpful to do was actually take the x term, just rearrange a little bit so that was first, and then I have my constant second, so I could easily pick out my slope and my y-intercept. So then the next thing we're going to be doing, actually in the next video, is learning how to use slope-intercept form to create a graph of a line.